Okay, I want a show of hands. Who here is left-handed? Raise your hand. Wow, quite a bit. So you left-handers, would you mind standing up a bit? Just want so we can identify who you are. Okay, okay. Now, I hate to tell you this, but in some cultures, you are considered sinister. You're inferior. Actually, the Greek philosophers, Aristotle and Plato, they associated the left hand with evil and criminality. The gods from great civilizations, they used their left hands for causing curses and inflicting injury. But why? Well, in Middle Eastern cultures, food comes into the body with your right hand, and food is cleaned up out of your body with your left hand. You get what I mean? Okay. So left-handers, I hate to break this to you, we're probably going to have to kick you out of the parish. Just saying. Just saying. We don't want you infiltrating the rest of us. You might be corrupting our children or something. All right? Sit down. Okay, I'm kidding. We're not going to kick you out. And that sounds weird, but so many times we have that same attitude about different groups of people because of the color of their skin, because of their sexual orientation, because of the country that they were born in. None of those are choices, but somehow we think, okay, we can't trust you, or you're not like us. There's something wrong. About a month ago, the Academy Awards honored the Best Picture of the Year to a movie called The Green Book. And actually, this is one of the first times I actually agreed that that was the Best Picture of the Year. If you haven't seen it, it's a wonderful movie. It's a true story. It's from the 1950s. It's about a jazz classical piano player who is African American. He's black. He wants to give a tour down in the southern states, so he hires a bouncer from the Bronx of New York who's white. And they go on this journey together, and they form a friendship. Now, the name of the movie comes from a book called The Green Book. It's actually a real book. It's put together by a guy named Victor Green. And what it is, it puts down all the safe places for African Americans to go in the South, and the places that they should avoid, like if they want to go to this hotel or this restaurant. Now you think, wow, that's really weird. You have to have a book indicating what places are safe. But then just think of what's been happening recently in our world. In New Zealand last weekend, we had that mass killing of people in the mosques because of their religion. Every once in a while we hear of profiling done by police officers because of the color of their skin. Now I want to say this, not all police officers do that. It's just a few. We have many police officers here in our parish, and they're doing an outstanding job of being fair and upholding justice. But there are many cases where people still have these queasy feelings about people who are gay, or people who just look different, or people who act different. So, who's at fault? Who's to blame, say, for that killing in New Zealand, or the profiling done, or for the discrimination done? Well, let me tell you who is. I am. And you are. Every one of us. Whenever there's a situation where we hear of something, or we hear a joke or a comment about any group of people for whatever, and we don't say anything, we are to blame for the violence. Anytime we have that kind of queasy feeling when you encounter somebody because they look different, or because they have those kind of clothes, or whatever it is, we are to blame for the violence that happens in the world to anybody. Now in the Gospel, Jesus, in the first part of the Gospel, Jesus is talking about the evil of marking people by some arbitrary measure of sin or evil, segregating or isolating classes of people because of their race or because of their religion. As Jesus warns, it's especially bad as it gives a false sense of superiority. And we can blame those kind of people because that's what they do. So of course these bad things happen to them. Jesus says, no. Then we also have the fear of some kind of social pressure. We all have to think this way about them. Well, the U.S. Catholic bishops, they put together a pastoral letter recently. It's called Open Wide Your Hearts. It's not very long. It's actually very good. It's a pastoral letter against racism. Right away in the beginning, they define racism and they say, when there is a conviction or attitude that leads individuals or groups to exclude, ridicule, mistreat, or unjustly discriminate against persons on the basis of their race or ethnicity, it is sinful. But let me go further. Anytime any one of us have had that sense, that feeling, we are to blame. And even for those of you who say, oh, I'm not racist, and that's not my problem, we all can be better. We all can help others become better. I don't know if you get the Minneapolis paper. The last week and last Sunday, in the editorial section, the opinion page, there was a cover article. You can get it online. It's called Stuck on Stereotypes. Very good article. In there, the author says that the more that we isolate ourselves and only interact with people like ourselves, the more we may be headed to only reinforce our views, our negative stereotypes. As the author says, we as humans, we love to categorize things. We like to categorize our vegetables, we like to categorize our plants, our animals, our pets, these things. And then we'll also do that, we will categorize people. And we'll start stereotyping all sorts of people. Maybe we had one interaction with this one person, then we say, well, all people are like that. Think back to the presidential elections last time. There's still people who are considering, oh, you voted for that person, or you voted for that person, and they're getting lumped together and saying, this is how you always think. Or people who continue to say, because of your skin color, or your orientation, or where you live, this is how you act, or this is how you respond. We've got to stop that. We've got to start thinking like God thinks. Instead of pigeonholing people and any individual, we've got to start looking at all people as children of God. And I know you can do it, as Jesus talked about in the gospel. You're like that fig tree. You have potential. You can bear fruit. Because as Jesus says, the other option is you're going to perish. You stay stuck like that, stay stuck with stereotypes, excluding racism, you're going to perish. You just heard. There's hope. I think for you left-handers, maybe you're not so sinister. Maybe you're not all so evil. I mean, I should know. I'm left-handed.